smell them. Something that you don't need. This is a blower, but you do need it. Think about this as preventative maintenance, not just looking pretty. We're trying to stop the damage. What do you think? Have I talked about the hose long enough?
I think you've talked about the hoses long enough.
Anytime you can get a multi-purpose item for RV use, you're doing yourself a favor. It's
so hot out here. I don't want a hat on. I don't know how you do it with all that hair, but.
All right, so we're in Thousand Trails, Orlando. Yes, that is Florida. We are still in Florida, but we are leaving after this. We're excited to come to Florida, but we're also excited to have the rest of the country, start to warm up to leave. This video is gonna be a little different, and don't get worried. We're not gonna be a how-to channel because I don't know how to do these videos. But we get this question asked so often.
One of the biggest questions that we get regularly, besides what is the camera equipment that Corey uses to film and take photos, and that is, how does Corey keep our truck and RV as clean as he does while we're on the road?
So I will actually be sharing a small segment, not a whole video, but a small segment about the equipment that we use for photography, videography, and all that in the next couple weeks. I actually owned an auto detailing company for 12 years before we hit the road. I was not only a photographer before, some of you may know that, but I also owned an auto detailing company before. I specialized in paint correction. I know a little bit, I don't know everything, and keep in mind, all of this stuff we're about to share is, my biased opinion. This is the stuff that I've used since we hit the road. A lot's changed, especially with ceramic coatings in the last 5 years. So let's get into it. So we're gonna go over some of the basics of car washing. We're gonna go over some of the equipment that we use, some of the products we use, and then kind of give you a step-by-step process of how we do it on the road, different scenarios. Don't be overwhelmed. We're gonna explain it. That's a lot of stuff. You don't need to carry all that stuff. All right, but for this video, I had to suffer a little bit. I haven't washed my truck in like 3 weeks to kind of prepare. So actually look like I did something when we're washing this stuff. So
you guys, it's been killing him.
So,
it's all for you. So just know he's been suffering for weeks for you guys. Reminder that the It's Better Outside Spring 2023 store is going to be closing in just about a week, so make sure you get your orders in by Tuesday, May 2nd. The It's Better Outside store is a pre-order store, so make sure that you get your orders in before it closes, and we will make sure that those are printed and packed and sent out to you guys before Memorial Day. It's Better Outside logo was created by our daughter Lily, who just so happens to have turned 18 yesterday, so please wish her a happy birthday in the comments below.
All right, so a lot of you are watching and you're saying, well, I don't really care about my rig being clean all the time or my truck being clean all the time. It's not just about being shiny, being pretty. It's protecting your investment. So the longer contaminants sit on your vehicle, RV, whatever, the longer the sun has time to bake that into that surface and cause permanent damage. So what we're trying to do is stop damage. So think about this as preventative maintenance, not just looking pretty. We're trying to stop the damage. This is something I learned from watching my dad as I was growing up, and I'm hoping that it will pass down to our kids as well.
So that is also something that gets brought up a lot of times, is how can we afford to be on the road? And a lot of that is us just being very financially responsible and taking care of the things that we have. So in the last 22 years that we've been married, we have only owned 5 vehicles, including the truck that we own.
That's one of our
right
5
now.
vehicles right there. In 22 years.
We have always tried to be very, very smart with buying something well and then taking really good care of it so that it holds its value. Obviously, a vehicle is not a very good investment, but it's something that we need, especially in this lifestyle, and so we're going to take care of that investment as much as possible.
So for instance, like that is a 2015 GMC Duramax.
It's worked really well for us, and then we bought that used, and then the RV is a 2018, and we have lived in the same RV for the last 5 years, and so we have tried to take very good care of the RV that we have and make sure that it lasts as long as possible, and we do have some news about that coming up in this season, so be looking for that update as well.
And then one other thing to keep something longer is maybe to update it as well. Maybe you don't need something brand new, maybe you just need to update what you do have. So in that respect, we renovated our RV, and it felt like a brand new RV for us. All right, so we're gonna move to the business side of the RV for just 1 second to share some of the minor stuff that you have already, but my favorite components: hoses, nozzles, all that stupid little stuff that you have already, but I kind of geek out about it. All right, so now we're gonna take a little walk over to the business side of the RV because, well, that's where you do your business.
Corey and your phrases.
All right, so simple things I'm gonna talk about right now. Hose nozzles. I like the simplest form of a hose nozzle. I don't want to switch little dials or whatever. I just want to squeeze or not squeeze for the spray pattern that I want. And now that we're back here, I like these quick disconnects. I like these shutoffs. These shutoffs make things so much easier when you're switching things out to just shut it off there instead of running back to the hose over there. Pressure regulator. Quick disconnects. Easy shut off. That thing's a Frankenstein right there, but it is handy. Oh, and look at this. I recently finished this, so you can easily get at your stuff. I'm pretty proud of that. So the other thing I love as far as these brass connections go are a hose splitter. I always have a hose splitter over there at the actual source, so you can have multiple things going.
Exactly.
As you can see right here, I have 2 hoses coming off that, so you can do, some maintenance things without unhooking that. This works really good if there's no other option, but there's not a lot of pressure. Now I'm going to talk about some really, really riveting things, and that is hoses. I know my hoses. I got in trouble saying that once. These are 0G hoses, and they are not equal. I only like the blue one. I bought this one and I'm using it, but it's the version that you can buy at Lowe's. It is a 5/8 hose. It's black. Lowe's, Home Depot, you can get this there. Only the blue one is actually kink-free and so much better. It's a 1/2-inch version, so stay away from the 5/8 version, which is this one. And what do you think? Have I talked about the hose long enough?
I think you've talked about the hoses long enough.
That thing you can fold up just like an electrical cord. It is so much better than the black one. Get the blue one. Make sure, one more thing about this hose, make sure it has, well, I'll show you, but this type of connection, because there's another version that is not as good.
If you guys want to go back into this video to look back at some of the items that Corey's talking about, this will be divided in chapters, so you can go back really quickly for reference. And we also will have all of the items that you can't get locally listed in a link in the description, as well as on our detailing page of our Amazon store for you to be able to reference.
And in case you were wondering, this is actually just a bleach spray. So I'm going to bring up the most basic thing that you're going to use when washing your vehicle, and that is a wash brush or a wash mitt or she's such a great model, isn't she? Or just a simple microfiber. Let me explain to you why I love this brush. It is a boar's hair brush. It's very expensive. It used to be expensive and then it got very expensive. This thing is $150 now. This thing is 10 years old. It's washed thousands of vehicles. I use this professionally. The bristles still stand up. It is super soft on your paint finish, so it's a really good brush. This is why I like this. It is huge, so you can cover a lot of distance fast, and a lot of times if you're moving fast, you have the potential to cause damage. That's where this triangle comes in, because the bristles extend past the hard part of this. So if you whack it against your mirror or something like that, you're not going to break anything. So I highly recommend this one. But if you're unwilling to invest that kind of money into a wash brush, there are alternatives that are about half the money. All right, so that brings up washing techniques and the damage that you can cause by simply washing your vehicle the wrong way. So the idea is that you want to do a lot of prep work. Everybody knows any project you're working on, the prep work is almost always the most important thing. And the prep work for a wash is making sure you rinse off as much contaminants that you're trying to wash off that you can. So there is less stuff between the surface you're trying to clean and the brush, because if there's any dirt in between that and you keep rubbing on it, you're causing scratches. So that's what you kind of want to avoid. So I don't want to just scare you like, I'm not touching anything. If you follow some simple things, rinse it really well, you're going to minimize any of that damage. All this advice applies to an RV, Class A, Class C, truck, car. It applies to anything you're washing. And one more quick tip as far as minimizing how much stuff is between your wash brush and the surface you're cleaning, when you pick it up from your garage, from the back of your truck, from the storage, make sure while it's dry, you beat it out. You hit it, you whip it, whatever you gotta do to get any dirt or dust that's collected for your last wash, or just while it was sitting. Make sure there's no debris in what you're gonna use to wash. Quick note about that, never, ever, ever use the wash brush that is on those self-service wash bays.
Yeah,
do not use
don't
that.
do it.
You do not know what someone did with that brush beforehand. Just do not use it. And that kind of leads to another kind of controversial subject, and that is waterless washes. I'm going to simply say I do not recommend them. They are for 1% of the people that really know what they're doing and that live in the perfect climate that allows for that. Don't use a waterless wash system. Take your time and do it right, or just kind of skip it. And the only exceptions to those skipping rules are when it comes to salt and when it comes to bugs. You want to get those off as soon as you can. Now we're going to go talk about the other stuff that we travel with. And keep in mind, you don't need all this stuff to maintain your vehicles. This is just what crazy people like myself travel around with. And I know there's some other crazy people that kind of want to know. So let's go check it out.
All right, so we were going to come over here and film all this stuff, but I'm a wicked baby, and it is super bright and harsh out here. So we're going to move all that crap over here into the shade.
You guys know this. He burns. He turns into a lobster.
I do. And I know there's a such thing as a hat, but it's so hot out here. I don't want a hat on. I don't know how you do it with all that hair, but...
All right, let's get you in the shade, honey.
Yeah, let's move all that junk.
Okay, all safe and sound out of the sun. My delicate skin is protected. This is turning into like a true product showcase here.
Show them that first showcase, fellers. Your showcase begins with this new living room.
I hope it's not as bad as it feels right now.
Okay, so we want to talk about the two normal methods of washing an RV. First is the traditional bucket method, and the second one is what we use most often, and that is the bucketless travel method, and that is the one that we're going to be showing you later on in the video.
We thought about this. We thought about the terms for this. And
What do you think of the terms? Does it work? The bucketless travel method.
yes.
Even though we're going to show you our bucketless method, we do have one tip that we think you should use if you are going to use a bucket when washing your truck or your RV.
So that is going to be a grit guard. A grit guard is another thing that keeps the dirt off of your vehicle. So as you're doing panels, you are dunking your brush or your wash mitt into this. The dirt that comes off of that is going to settle at the bottom, go through this baffle, the grit guard, and stay trapped at the bottom. With that in mind, the idea of continually rinsing your wash brush or wash mitt as you're washing, each panel, or depending on how dirty it is, a half a panel, you want to keep rinsing your brush. I'm just going to keep saying brush now. You can use anything, but just so I don't have to keep saying brush or mitt. So the idea is that you're continually rinsing your brush, getting contaminants that you've picked up as you're washing. So just like a bucket, you rinse it off with that. With the bucketless method, you're simply going to use a hose to rinse that out as you're going. So honestly, I don't know how we've had a whole conversation about simply rinsing your brush, but that's what we just did.
It's really important though. That's like the entire point of making sure that you're not marring and dulling your paint and doing damage to your vehicle.
The devil's in the details. All right, back to the brush. I can't believe we're going to talk about this brush again, but the brush and the extension pole. This extension pole is just a painter's pole. It extends out, so it's super long, so you can get the top of the tallest RV. I got this at Lowe's. It was like $18. Highly recommend it. Another thing that you're going to hear us mention is multi-purpose items. And
Yes.
This is another one of those multi-purpose items. I use this for the brush. We use it for the extension with the squeegee. We also use it for our GoPro. Whenever you see those cool shots and it looks like there's a drone following us, it's actually just the extension tip on the end of that with the GoPro 360. It's awesome. So we use this thing for
All the
everything.
time.
Anytime you can get a multi-purpose item for RV use, you're doing yourself a favor. So speaking of the water blade, you need one of these things. This is a one-pass water blade. Protecting your paint means you're protecting it from yourself. Just because you finished washing does not mean you're done. Drying is just as important as the wash itself, because you don't know what the water is wherever you are, and usually it's going to be hard or soft and it's going to cause water spots, so you want to dry it.
We also don't recommend that you buy the ones that are at Walmart because the handle actually bends and it
hard
makes
to
it
use.
much more difficult to use. So whichever one you get, if you do buy them in a store somewhere, make sure that the actual handle is solid and hard.
Because you can grab the end of it and
Yeah.
still use it.
This is actually my job, so I will definitely say that it is much easier than having one that bends and moves all over the place. So that's actually my favorite tip.
So another thing, this is something that you don't need. This is a blower, but you do need it. Multi-purpose. That thing I bought, and I only thought I was going to blow off the front grille of our truck just because of water spots. You can't get in there and dry each individual thing. So, just a simple blower, blows all the water off your rims. We use it on the roof. We use it around the campsite.
I've seen him, making fire with it.
It's for fire starter. We use it every single time to blow our solid steps off before we put them up into our RV.
Multi-purpose tool. But what he was saying is that it is not on our list of the 6 things that you have to be able to wash a vehicle, but it does make it much easier to finish that final step off.
And another thing that you don't need, I have a small pressure washer. This
Very
thing
small.
is amazing. This is a small rant. One misconception about pressure washers is that PSI is important, and it's not PSI that's important, it's the gallons per minute. So this is 1700 PSI, 2 gallons per minute. So it flows a lot of water, and a lot of water is what does the work. This one's kind of pricey, so I'm not going to say go buy this one, but it is super small. There's another one that is just as small, and you can go pick it up for a fraction of the price, or half the price anyways. There's a Greenworks one. Every brand kind of has a rebranded version of it, but it is 18 or 1700 PSI, 1.2 gallons per minute. It is tiny. If you want a pressure washer, those are great. They get great reviews. All right, so for travel, I just use this thing. This thing is great. This thing's great. Love this thing. For travel, this thing's kind of awkward to store. I just wanted to show you it. This will not be coming with us. I like this.
Short gun works better.
Short gun works better. And another pressure washer I want to mention is our Lippert pressure washer that you've seen us use before. I don't think it's great for vehicle washing, but it has been handy to have for screen cleaning and stuff like that. I literally can take this into our RV and spray through the screen because it doesn't have a ton of pressure, but just enough to clean all those out without removing them all. I love it for that. Even for the front door, I just spray right out. You take a microfiber after the fact, and anything residual, it does not create a lot of water.
Yes, it doesn't make a mess in the RV. It is genius for getting all of those more delicate jobs done.
Yeah, it's awesome. Standard product that everybody should have, microfibers. Get microfibers. They are multi-purpose. You can use them for cleaning inside your truck, inside your RV, it's cleaning up whatever. They're almost as affordable as a stupid roll of paper towels.
Yeah.
And you can reuse them, like Jess just said. You can wash them as many times as you want to. These are great. I can't say enough about those. Pressure washer tip, foam guns. You don't need them, but they're awesome.
They're a lot of fun.
Some more simple things about detailing, cleaning in general, are just spray bottles. Yes, I'm going to talk about spray bottles, mainly because I said I have terrible handwriting. So I simply asked Lily to write what this is. This one happens to be Tire Shine. This is what she came up with.
Tire Shine and car wash.
I love it.
I think she needs to make stickers.
She
and then
probably should make stickers for that.
sell them for people to put on their water bottles.
Anyways, I love those spray nozzles that are on there. All spray nozzles are not created equal. The good ones last longer, have a better spray pattern, and have more volume. So
those will be linked in the description. Water bottles you can just go and buy for $1 at Walmart. So
oh my gosh,
those you can find anywhere, but make sure you're getting good nozzles.
I've kind of gone all over the place, but some of this stuff you definitely don't need. We're going to go a little bit beyond the basics with some of this stuff. I've already mentioned it, but buffers. I am a detailer, and I already told you that I specialized in paint correction, so I could not help but bring my buffers on the road. This is actually a cordless one. I never got to use something like this while I was in business, but this is awesome.
He was like a giddy little schoolgirl the day that he got that.
Okay, so there are 2 different types of buffers. This is a DA polisher, so it spins and it goes back and forth as it's spinning. This, if you are a novice, this is the first one you want to start with. You could do a lot of damage with a buffer, but you will not do a lot of damage with this buffer. These pads are amazing for rotary or DA. They're CS pads, they're foam. If you're going to use a buffer, these are the pads to get. And this is a rotary buffer. All this does is spin around super fast. You can do some damage but this is mainly to fix scratches. I use this to fix headlights and stuff like that. You do not need this unless you need this. And that brings up, what polishes do I like to use? I like to use Menzerna's entire line of polishes. They are a really good product. They, again, are expensive, but they are a one-step product if you want them to be, meaning they have an aggressive start, so they cut really fast, but they finish themselves down to a polish. So you're not doing 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, you're just doing one step, and I'm all about just doing one step. I'm sure you've heard the term clay bar. This is kind of the new version of what a clay bar does. It removes contaminants from your paint. So if you wash your car, you rub your hand across it, you still feel a little rough, that probably means you need a clay bar because you've had tar or something else adhere to your paint, and that's going to be the thing that removes it. But know that if you do this, you have to use a polish after it, whether you do it by hand or by machine, or you have to bring it someplace. Don't just use a clay bar because you see it at the detail shop.
Right.
It does work, but you need to polish after it. I'm not really going to talk too much about detailing the interior. That's a whole different video. Some quick basics are microfibers. I have a little detail brush that's really good for the vents, and we have this vacuum that is also the same batteries as our other stuff. So we talked about not overwhelming you. I just mentioned all this crap. Now, do you need it? No. Here's the things I think you need. I think you need a water blade. I think you need something to wash your vehicle with. I use a brush. And I think you need microfibers. So of the equipment, I think you just need those 3 things. All right, so now that we're done talking about equipment, now we're going to move on to just kind of the soaps and the chemicals that we use while we're on the road.
Didn't mention this. This is the most handy ladder / step stool ever. It just folds up, it's super light, and this just lays in the bed of the truck always. So everybody needs a ladder. I'm not a fan of hanging anything off the back end of the RV, and this is good for 95% of what I need to do.
All right, so before I talk about chemicals and soaps and all that, I do want to say that the best time to wash your vehicle is in the morning, in the evening, and best of all, on a cloudy day or in the shade. So what you're trying to wash is cool to the touch and not getting any direct sunlight, because the safest chemicals can become like 100 times stronger in heat. So just keep that in mind. I like to do stuff in the shade. It's always best. All right, so we just talked about the 3 basic equipment pieces that you need. Now I want to talk about the 3 basic like chemical products that you need. Simply a car wash that's your favorite, a general purpose cleaner, and glass cleaner. That's it. You just need those 3 things, and then the 3 pieces of equipment, and you can maintain your vehicle on the road. So I'm going to run through these products as fast as I can. Car wash, I think that's the first thing you obviously need. I highly recommend ceramic washes. If it doesn't have ceramic in it, don't bother buying it, because you're doing yourself a disservice. It's not like the old washes and waxes of, that your dad used or you used when you were younger. This is legitimate protection. I think everybody's kind of heard the term ceramics. So do yourself a favor and buy a ceramic wash. They're all really good, but I like the Armor All one, I like the Turtle Wax one. I've been playing around with the Chemical Guys one. You're gonna see a bunch of Chemical Guys stuff. I think they make really good products. I don't think they make it the best of everything, but they're really up there for every single product. And I like that they have consistent sizes of their products. So if for nothing other than that, all of it stores very easy because it's all the same size. So the other basic thing I mentioned was a general purpose cleaner or an all-purpose cleaner. I like Meguiar's. I've mentioned it before on this channel. You can dilute it and use it for everything. You can clean your engine, clean your tires, clean anything you want, all the way down to your leather if it's diluted enough.
Are you tired of slicing and dicing by hand? The amazing food preparation station that slices, dices, and juliennes.
My general dilution ratio for general cleaning is 11:1. And say you don't have an all-purpose cleaner, you probably have some Dawn or something like that laying around. You can even dilute that in a spray bottle, and it makes a very good cleaner.
Dawn is something that I use all the time as well, ladies. In laundry, I put it on all stains, and it is one of the best products ever. We would never travel without Dawn, so we use it on everything.
We're going to mention a bunch of products. We're not trying to sell you this stuff. We're just sharing what we use. The third thing that we mentioned that's basic is a good glass cleaner. You're going to use this everywhere, inside, outside, everywhere. You're going to use a glass cleaner. We love Sprayway. You can get it anywhere. Good stuff. So just a little bit beyond basics would be something like a tire shine. I use a water-based tire shine because you can buy it in concentrate and mix it to your desired strength, whether you like it shiny or matte finish. I prefer matte finish. I don't like shiny plastic. Benefit for that is, yeah, it looks good, but it also is protecting your equipment as well to keep the sun from damaging it. There's a few that I like. Meguiar's makes a hyper dressing that you have to get it in a gallon size, so that's not always convenient. We're using the Car Pro right now because it's a smaller container. It lasts a long time, especially depending on how you dilute it. If you want a little bit longer lasting protection, this other thing from Chemical Guys, it's their natural shine. It's really good stuff. And then good old-fashioned Rain-X. I love this aerosol can just because, you know, it's faster than the old method that when Rain-X first came out. You've heard us talk a ton about water spots and avoid them, but if you happen to have water spots, just get yourself a hard water spot remover and it basically just wipes away those water spots. One of my favorite tips, and it's so underrated, everybody kind of just skips this step. If you want your car to look brand new, one tip with this tire shine is to simply spray your undercarriage and your wheel wells. That makes your wheel wells disappear. You don't need to see under there. Just a quick tip for you.
The only other thing that we do as far as the RV is concerned is that it is really awesome to be able to spray on your snap pads if you have them. It makes them look nice and shiny and beautiful. It makes it look brand new all the time. All
right, so you heard us mention bugs before. Yes, I do recommend you get bugs off as fast as possible. So get the bugs off fast. You can use this in a spray bottle or you can use it in a snow foam.
And trust me, when you're traveling all over the country, you are gonna run into some pretty crazy bugs. We've hit like swarms of locusts before. We've hit insane things. I'm not joking. Like,
I don't know what they were. Got into the radiator and it was hot and smelly.
It smelled so bad.
It was awful. Get those bugs off. They definitely have some juices in there that'll eat your pain away.
It's like a horror movie.
What are those things?
I don't know.
They even smell.
What?
Like, I can smell them.
One other thing that you've probably seen in the stores is a rim cleaner. I don't really think you need a rim cleaner. I think if you have got a used car and it wasn't maintained before, you might need something like that to get rid of the built up brake dust and all that. I like the Sonex product. It is specifically made to just attack iron. You can see it working. It turns purple. It's super cool. So if you just want to have a good time, get some Sonex, watch your rust turn purple. It's good stuff. But if you maintain your vehicle, wash it once a month, every other month. Regular soap will just take everything off your rims. Now we're going to talk about waxes, and I just want to explain waxes in their terms really quick. So the term wax is more of a natural product. It's carnauba wax. It really only lasts 3 weeks, and really the only good thing about carnauba wax for old school single stage paint jobs, because it breathed. That's a little bit more information than you needed, but those only lasted like 3 weeks. Then they came out with synthetic waxes. Those were good for 6 months. Now we have ceramic coatings, and those are good for a year plus. So that's why you keep hearing me mention ceramic. Make sure you're using ceramic. This is the easiest ceramic wax I have found. It's Meguiar's. You spray it on and you rinse it off and dry it. So that is it. That is the easiest way I've found to ceramic coat your vehicle, your RV, even your roof gets ceramic coated. So you simply wash your vehicle like normal, spray the stuff on, rinse this stuff off and dry it, and you are ceramic coated.
Make sure that you do this in sections. You definitely don't want to let this dry on in the sun before you're able to rinse it off.
All right, so another thing you heard us mention was salt. So you're gonna encounter salt on the road, whether you're by the ocean, whether you came out of the Northeast, or you like to do some beach camping. The best thing to do is to treat your parts with some sort of lubricant beforehand so the salt can't penetrate and cause rust. So not only should you do like your suspension parts or the undercarriage of your truck or the tongue area, you're also gonna wanna do your bikes. Anything that's gonna be out and exposed, you're gonna wanna treat that beforehand. But if you didn't treat it beforehand, you actually can't rinse away salt with just regular water.
Right.
So there's a product called Salt Off. You get this little dilution thing, you spray it on with a hose, and it's a bit pricey. It's like $20 or something like that. But the damage that it prevents by you buying it is huge. So preventative maintenance, we're all about not causing damage and fixing damage before it starts.
And we don't want you to avoid going and camping on the beach just
Yep.
because you're worried that the salt is going to do damage to your rig. So go do the things you want to do, make the memories with your family, but just know that there are ways that you can protect it ahead of time and ways to fix it afterwards.
Yes. And like I said, I'm not going to go too much into interior cleaner, but this is more of an equipment thing I probably should have mentioned before. If you care about the interior of your car or truck, get rubber floor mats from the manufacturer or WeatherTech floor liners that are, molded for each individual vehicle. They are the best. So you can take them out, rinse them off. And the best part about this is they don't attract smells the way a carpet would.
Yeah.
So if you don't want a smelly vehicle, get yourself some rubber floor mats and rock chips. We're on the road. You get rock chips. So my favorite way of doing this is buying your correct paint coat, and they generally come in some sort of pen that has a clear coat and the color of the paint. What I like to do is kind of mix them together, 3 parts color and then 1 or 2 parts of the clear. You make a lacquer, then use a toothpick and just kind of touch the center of a chip, and it kind of just spreads itself out edge to edge. Then you're not worried about brush marks and overdoing it. That's my favorite method of taking care of paint chips. A really fast, quick improvement that you can do.
When traveling, you will probably find yourself in 3 different scenarios when trying to get your rig or your setup clean. One will be at a campground, in your site. Just make sure that you follow campground rules for water usage. Number 2 will be with friends and family when you're staying in someone's driveway. And number 3 will be at a self-wash or a coin-operated wash bay.
That's kind of where we find ourselves more often. That's really handy when you're on the road. We're talking about bugs a lot. So say you pull into a self-service bay and you can't fit all the way through. At least you can probably fit the nose of the RV in. So what we try to do, pull in, get the truck washed, and at least get the front cap of the RV done, which is going to have a bunch of bugs on it. And that way the setup just looks a lot better, because generally the RV stays looking pretty good longer than your vehicle does. It's just that front cap that gets nasty. When we find ourselves in the coin-op, service bays, we end up using our Bucketless Travel Method more often. So I'm going to explain that. So simply, instead of rinsing your wash brush in a soapy bucket of water to get the contaminants off and get your new soap on to wash your next panel, you're just replacing that with a hose and a spray bottle full of your car wash soap. So what I'll do is I'll fill up a bottle with 10 parts water and 1 part car wash. So this is in place of the bucket. You're going to spray this stuff directly on to your wash brush and the panels, and instead of dunking to rinse, you're just going to use a hose to rinse. So we use this method most often at those coin-op, self-service bays. It helps to have a partner. This method just moves so much faster. But when that coin goes in, or that credit card gets slid and that timer starts counting down, the pressure's on. So I don't care who you are. If there's a countdown, the pressure's on. But if you're in your own site and you're in a driveway, there's no time pressure.
Take your time.
Take your time. So here's one thing you have to know about vehicles, whether it's an RV or a truck. It's going to be the dirtiest on the rims, the lower sections, the rear of it, because it has this vortex where it just collects a bunch of dust and dirt in the front end. So you want to kind of treat those areas separate. The general rule of thumb is wash top down. I like to start with the dirtiest parts with a microfiber. I'll pre-rinse the rims and the tire wells and the lower rocker panels. I'll do that first, and you can use your general purpose cleaner to start dissolving bugs if you don't have a dedicated bug remover. After that, I rinse the whole vehicle top down, working your way down, doing 1 panel at a time and rinsing as you go. Don't do the whole thing and then rinse after, because you've given the soap a chance to dry on and you're gonna have streaks and you have to rewash it again.
Once you're done washing, like we said, your job is not done. Make sure that you take the time to dry your rig or your truck off. The water blade is incredible. It makes the job so much faster. Having the blower is a nice option, but not necessary. And then make sure that you're finishing it off with the microfibers. That way you don't have water spots and you don't need to worry. One quick tip is that the clean windows on the outside look amazing, but make sure your windows are clean on the inside. Not only does it allow you to see all the wonderful things that you want to see traveling, but it makes your vehicle look so much cleaner on the outside as well.
So that sounded like a ton of steps. It really isn't. It just sounds like it when you're talking about it. You can wash a car super fast.
Yes.
You can do it in under 20 minutes, especially after you've done it a couple times. Although in appearance they are very different. You can wash a vehicle in an RV in the same method. We've hounded you about this. Just make sure you do a lot of prep work, rinse all the material off first, and then start washing. I highly recommend doing these things in the shade, but I also understand you aren't always in control of your surroundings, and you might have to do it in the sun. So if you're forced to do stuff in the sun, make sure you do have help so people are rinsing stuff off, and start in the shady side because there's going to be one side that's more shady. Start on that side. That'll give you a little bit more working time by the time you finish and are able to start drying. One of the only things that's different about an RV washing and a vehicle washing is going to be your roof. I think that's very important to wash your roof for just a few reasons. You don't want anything growing up there. It gets moldy up there, and you should be doing inspections. But I will tell you that an inspection is a lot better when you're cleaning every inch of it. So there's two ways to wash your roof. You can simply use an all-purpose cleaner and a power washer, or you can use that all-purpose cleaner and a scrub brush, which is something I've done many times.
It's pretty labor intensive.
It really is.
He's really excited about his new pressure washer for roof cleaning.
So that is where this shadiness comes in, because if you're up there on that hot roof and you got chemicals baking on there, it's just not a good thing. You only need to do this once a year, so just make sure you plan that accordingly and make sure you're using as much water as possible. You want to flush all these chemicals off not only the roof but the sides as they're dripping down. So you might want to have someone spraying the sides as you're washing so none of these chemicals are baking into your stuff. The less exposure to chemicals that your paint has, the better. So use a ton of water to get all that stuff off. You don't want any of that residue sitting there causing any of your materials to deteriorate faster than they need to. If you plan on washing your roof, plan on washing the sides as well. That's one of the other advantages to using that Meguiar ceramic spray wash, because you can use that on the roof. This is one of the only protectants you can use that puts a protective coating because you simply rinse it off.
All right, guys, we know that this was an insane amount of information that we just threw at you. To anyone who made it through the end of this video, high five to you. Thank you for sticking with us. We hope it was helpful to you. We hope you might have learned something that you can utilize while traveling. If you have any other questions, if we missed something, please put it in the comments. If you have a favorite product that we did not mention and you think is amazing, we want to hear about that, and throw that in the comments as well. And we would love to see your clean and shiny setup, so please tag us in photos on Instagram and Facebook, and I promise we will be back to regular travel vlog style and showing you some really cool things coming next week.
We're heading out of Florida. I'm pretty excited. We're actually losing light, so we actually have to wash our truck and our rig, and it's getting late, so I'm taking this to heart, do stuff in the shade, but I think I'm pushing it a little bit.
You might be pushing it a little bit.
Probably going to be dark by the time we finish.
Wow. Okay.
A piece of candy hit my eye.